That was wrong. Oops. Nope. Yep. Okay, folks, sorry about that. That was, not how that was supposed to go. I hope that everyone had a great weekend, and if you are just tuning in or just seeing this video, I am Kat. I read stories, and while they are being read, I draw something from them. I honestly don't know what I'm going to be drawing this time. Also, this is a fairly new series, so I'm learning all the things on how to live stream, record, and all that. On that front, I didn't know that YouTube, recorded the live streams at the same time and then posted them immediately afterwards. So my earlier videos where I was like, hey, I'll go and post this stuff later once it's all done. Yeah, just ignore that. So yes, lots of learning is happening. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So, if you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, please feel free to write something. We'll go and do this together. So, yes, this is a series. Honestly, when I started this series, I wasn't thinking I was going to end up doing a drawing a day. And so, this is slightly kind of terrifying. Yeah, lots of terrifying stuff with that. Anyways, so what I am using to do the drawings is a Sketchbook Pro app. You can also use the Sketchbook app, which is super great. It's free, not as good as Procreate, but you know what? For what it is, it's pretty awesome. And I am also using a tablet from Huon called the HS610. And now we begin shortly. The Yellow Fairy Book, edited by Andrew Lang, from the 2019 collection of Project Gutenberg. Story 4, Story of the Emperor's New Clothes. Many years ago, there lived an emperor who was so fond of new clothes that he spent all of his money on them in order to be dressed beautifully. He did not care about his soldiers, he did not care about the theater. He only liked to go out walking to show off his new clothes. He had a coat for every hour of the day, and just as they say of a king, he is in the council chamber. They always said here, the emperor is in the wardrobe. In the great city in which he lived, there was always something going on. Every day many strangers came there. One day, 2 impostors arrived who gave themselves out as weavers, and they said that they knew how to manufacture the most beautiful cloth imaginable. Not only were the texture and the pattern uncommonly beautiful, but the clothes in which were made of the stuff possessed this wonderful property that they were invisible to anyone who was not fit for his office or who was unpardonably stupid. Those must be splendid clothes, thought the emperor. If I had them on, I could find out which men in my kingdom are unfit for the offices they hold. I could distinguish the wise from the stupid. Yes, these clothes must be woven for me at once. And he gave both the impostors much money so that they might begin their work. They placed 2 large weaving looms and began to do it as if they were working, but they had not the least thing on the looms. They had also demanded the finest silk and the best gold, which they put in their pockets and worked at the empty looms till late into the night. I should very much like to know how far they have got on with the cloth, thought the emperor. But he remembered, when he thought about it, that whoever was stupid or not fit for his office would not be able to see it. Now he certainly believed that he had nothing to fear for himself, but he wanted first to send somebody else in order to see how he stood with regard to his office. Everybody in the whole town knew what a wonderful power the cloth had, and they were all curious to see how bad or how stupid their neighbor was. I will send my old and honored minister to the weavers, thought the emperor. He can judge best what the cloth is like, for he has intellect, and no one understands his office better than he." Now the good old minister went into the hall where the two impostors sat working at the empty weaving looms. "Dear me," thought the old minister, opening his eyes wide, "I can see nothing." But he did not say so. Both the impostors begged him to be so kind as to step closer, and asked him if it were not a beautiful texture and lovely colors. They pointed to the empty loom, and the poor old minister went forward, rubbing his eyes, but he could see nothing, for there was nothing there. "Dear, dear," he thought, "can I be stupid? I have never thought that, and nobody must know. Can I not be for my office? No, I must certainly not say that I cannot see the cloth." "Have you nothing to say about it?" asked one of the men who was weaving. "Oh, it is most lovely, answered the old minister, looking through his spectacles. "What a texture! What colors! Yes, I will tell the emperor that it pleases me very much." "Now we are delighted at that," said both weavers. And thereupon they named the colors and explained the make of the texture. The old minister paid great attention so that he could tell the same to the emperor when he came back to him, which he did. The impostors now wanted more money, more silk, and more gold to use in their weaving. They put it all in their own pockets, and there came no threads on the loom. But they went on as they had done before, working on that empty loom. The emperor soon sent another worthy statesman to see how the weaving was getting on, and whether the cloth would soon be finished. It was the same with him as the first one. He looked and looked, but because there was nothing on the empty loom, he could see nothing. "Is it not a beautiful piece of cloth?" asked the two impostors. They pointed to it and described the splendid material, which was not there. "Stupid I am not," thought the man, "so it must be my good office for which I am not fitted. It is strange, certainly, but no one must be allowed to notice it." And so he praised the cloth which he did not see, and expressed to them delight at the beautiful colors and the splendid texture. "Yes, it is quite beautiful," he said to the emperor. Everybody in town was talking of the magnificent cloth. Now the emperor wanted to see it himself while it was still on the loom, with a great crowd of select followers, amongst whom were both the worthy statesmen who had already been there before. He went to the cunning impostors, who were now weaving with all their might, but without fiber or thread. "Is it not splendid?" said the old statesman who had been there already. "See, your majesty, what texture, what colors!" And they both pointed to the empty loom, for they believed that the others could see the cloth quite well. "What?" thought the emperor. "I can see nothing. This indeed is horrible. Am I stupid? Am I not fit to be emperor? That were the most dreadful thing that could happen to me. Oh, it is very beautiful," he said. "It has my gracious approval." Then he nodded pleasantly and examined the empty loom, for he would not say he could see nothing. His whole court around him looked and looked, and no one saw more than the others, but they said, like the emperor, "Oh, it is beautiful," and they advised him to wear these new and magnificent clothes for the first time at the great procession which was soon to take place. "Splendid!" "Lovely!" "Most beautiful!" went from mouth to mouth. Everyone seemed delighted over them, and the emperor gave to the impostors the title of court weavers to the emperor. Throughout the whole of the night before the morning on which the procession was to take place, the impostors were up and were working by the light of over 16 candles. The people could see that they were very busy making the emperor's new clothes. They pretended they were taking the cloth from the loom, cut with huge scissors in the air, sewed with needles without thread, and then said, "Now the clothes are finished." The emperor came himself with the most distinguished knights, and each impostor held up his arm just as if he were holding something and said, "See, here are the breeches, here's the coat, here's the cloak," and so on. Spun clothes are so comfortable that one would imagine one had nothing on, but it is the beauty of it. "Yes," said all the knights, but they could see nothing, for there was nothing there. "Will it please your majesty graciously to take off your clothes?" said the impostors. "Then we will put the new clothes here before the mirror." The emperor took off all his clothes, and the impostors placed themselves before him as if they were putting on each part of his new clothes, which was ready. And the emperor turned and bent himself in front of the mirror. "How beautifully they fit! How well they sit!" said everybody. "What materials! What colors! What a gorgeous suit!" They are waiting outside with the canopy which your majesty is wont to have borne over you in the procession," announced the master of ceremonies. "Look, I am ready," said the emperor. "Doesn't it sit well?" And he turned himself again in the mirror to see if his finery was on all right. The chamberlains, who were used to carrying the train, put their hands near the floor as if they were lifting up the train, and then they did as if they were holding something in the air. They would not have it noticed that they could see nothing. So the emperor went along in the procession under the splendid canopy, and all of the people in the streets and the windows said, "How matchless are the emperor's new clothes! That train fashioned to his dress, how beautifully it hangs!" No one wished it to be noticed that he could not see, for then he would have been unfit for his office or else very stupid. None of the emperor's clothes had met with such approval as these had. "But he has nothing on," said a little child at last. "Just listen to the innocent child," said the father. And each one whispered to his neighbor what the child had said at last. "But he has nothing on!" the whole of the people called out at last. This struck the emperor, for it seemed to him as if they were right, but he thought to himself, "I must go on with the procession now." And the chamberlains walked along still more uprightly, holding up the train, which was not there at all. Okie dokie, folks. So, I like this version of the Emperor's New Clothes so much better than a lot of the other ones. Mostly out of due to the how the Emperor handles the situation at the end. Where he's like, "Oh, well, I done effed up." And instead, he's like, "Well, gotta do it now." So it's kind of a different take. And because of that, it's something that's really, really nice to see. It would be nice if people would still do that today. Not saying that I'm not guilty of doing it myself, but it is something that, you know, they didn't sit there and laugh at the Emperor at the end, because no one really could go and do that because they all fell victim to it themselves. I mean, the con artist had a really, really good plan on that. Because nobody likes looking stupid. curse of doing things mirrored without doing things mirrored. Should have just... Let me get all my shortcuts across my devices sorted out. So I may end up cutting this a little short. I'm not feeling too hot today, which kind of sucks, but yeah. Health is very important. So, something I do with all my digital work, because trying to keep track of this and erase this type of stuff in traditional is, oh my god, crazy. But something I like to do in my digital work is I like to, whenever I'm working in layers, I like to build up with different colors, because it is a lot easier for me to understand where I'm at with stuff. And sometimes the colors end up helping me see through how things look. Other times it's just like, oh, well, that's different. I did have a thought on this, but the thought is quickly disappearing. My apologies. Yeah, so when I said I had no idea what I'm doing tonight, this is literally the result of not having any idea of what I'm doing tonight. So. Oh, hey! I see chats. Hello. Sorry, I got sucked into the drawing. It's not a big deal. It's just a headache. I think I'm dehydrated. Drink fluids. Drinking fluids is good. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm still going to butcher your name. Is it Varanger? Fee Ranger? Fire Ranger? I'm totally butchering it. I accept that I will butcher stuff. I was one of those like hooked on phonics kids where literally I still have to sound out words in order to figure out how to pronounce them. Still definitely am one of those people. Which is fine. That's how you learn, right? There we go. I did not do those other circles big enough, but that's okay. Wait, no, there's no N in it. Oops. Is it Forager? Forager. Fearger! Okay, Fearger. Yeah, I never would have gotten that. Yeah, no, all these like new, or all these, a lot of these, handles, I have a really hard time with on that, which is just something with how I read. It makes life so much fun. Fearager, I like it. Okie dokie, Smokey. Yeah, I'm gonna be done drawing that for now. Ooh, I could do that. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, let's go back down to here. Now we're gonna take you. And wait. I need the thingy! Oh, I don't need that thingy. So, I don't know how many of y'all like do the barn doors thing. I actually kind of like the aesthetic of the barn doors, but I'm very partial to the whole sliding door thing because I feel it takes up a lot less space. It's not as safe. Like, there's not as much security with it. But aesthetically and, like, if you're concerned about spacing, it is definitely one of those things that I'm just all for. Now, I don't know if a king would actually be interested in a rolling door. It seems like a lot of them have it in movies. But that's movies. I don't know about... I've never been to a palace. I don't know if there's an actual palace in the States. Does anyone know that? I did a silly thing. That's okay, though. I keep forgetting that I'm on the whole, like... Oh yeah, you can just draw a straight line without having to worry about all the things. So... Alright, my silly thing. I could have had my mirror line up here and not have to go and try and draw this again. But now I know how to draw how I want to draw it, so it should be a lot easier. Right? I hope so. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll find out. Boop. Boopity boop boop boop. So I had planned on having an actual cover for this series. Well, like a marquee thing. So then whenever everyone's waiting for the live stream, he kind of would actually see what it was instead of just be like, oh yeah, here's my face. But I didn't do that this weekend. Instead, I learned how to draw beans. Yes, beans. Beans are good. Everyone should learn how to draw beans. I know, it sounds like such a weird statement to make. But it was a really good course. It was done by a gentleman who does a lot of bean drawing. Let me look it up real quick. I have to find a thing. Oh my god. Phone, don't be mean. Nope. Maybe. Okay. Oops. Nope. Oh wait, no, that was it. Brian Atkins. Yes, Brian Atkins. He did a drawing session at Sunday's Clever Kaiju Get Together at Dirk's Tavern in Springfield, Missouri. If y'all are from here, I know that Fearinger is, because he's an awesome good friend of mine. Woohoo! But if you're in Springfield, Missouri, or in the surrounding areas, it is and you want to do art and stuff, highly, highly recommend. That's actually how I ended up doing half the stuff I've been doing. So, highly recommend. It's just like a really wholesome thing. And everyone kind of really supports each other. Like, it's one of those things. Alright. Now what am I gonna do? I don't know. Maybe I should paint some, because I don't know what else to draw at the moment. Alright, I'll paint some, because I know some of the stuff I want to paint. So, okay. Yep, we're gonna go with the checkerboard pattern, because it's quick and easy, and it looks very, very classic. I think it looks classic anyways. Like, it literally, I don't think that there's a time where the checkerboard pattern, except for like pre-checkerboard pattern, I don't think that there was really a time where the checkerboard pattern didn't come or was not used. So, Kat, how come you're not like doing stuff, like being really, really clean with all this? I should be really clean with all this. But that is a very, very good way to get bogged down with details. And to be fair, this thing is like, yeah. But the only thing I could say is I need to be a little bit straighter with my lines, but for the most part, no, it's all good. Also, it would help if I used a different brush, because, oh my goodness. Okay, I need to check my settings. That's the wrong button. That's the, nope. Fine, I'll go with this one. I use this one a lot. That's how come I'm like, I want to try and do less of using the same brushes. Because I feel like if you're consistently using the same brushes, especially with digital work, you get trapped into it. And that doesn't let you really explore different things. like different, like you could get different effects from certain styles. Like, that brush that I was using earlier, because it's fuzzy and everything, that pushes it, the background. See, I've only changed brushes. I haven't changed color, I haven't changed anything else. All I've done is change brushes. Okay, I did change size, but I changed the brushes and I got a entirely different feel to it. And by doing that and trying to work outside of my comfort zone, which is always important, you always want to work out of your comfort zone, at least in some way. Always try something new. This is a whole lot of new, a whole lot at once. I don't recommend it. But it's something that will help as you go on. Because if you're always trying something new, you're comfortable with trying something new, and yeah, it'll be a little bit scary, but you won't limit yourself as much. And trying to get yourself out of that box, let me tell you, that is difficult. Also, getting out of the, perfectionist mindset. Believe me, this is actually driving me up the wall a little bit. I'm definitely having more of a slapdash manner on this, and I'm just like, I don't know about this. Whoops. So, it's like this intentional rush thing. Honestly, these are more like thumbnails than actual drawings, but it's okay. It's okay. I promise it's okay. I know what I am doing. I am a consummate professional. Kinda. No, I really am. No, self-deprecation is also a really good way to deal with a lot of this. Don't be too hard on yourself, though. You are your biggest fan. Because if you don't be your biggest fan, people are just going to walk all over you, or they're not going to give you the time of day, so on and so forth. It's a lot of like self-help BS, but at the same time, there's a lot of truth to it. It's a hard struggle. It's a hard struggle. That imposter syndrome, that thing is very real. That's what I'm going through right now. As I'm doing this, I have imposter syndrome going on right now. Don't worry about it. That is on me. That is not on anyone else. And of course, I'm sure that some people are just like, oh no, what about the AI stuff? And it's like, yeah, don't worry about the AI stuff. If you want to worry about it, there's an event from the White House in August that if you have the money, which 90% of artists don't, and the time, again, 90% of artists don't, you can go up to DC and yell at the people who are doing the BS stuff. In the end, what's going to happen is the same thing that's happened all through history. Like, seriously, all through history, it's been kind of the same thing. If you look specifically at the history of art, you can literally see the changes of technology. Because way back in the day, art was a skill. Like the weavers, the con men in here, sewing is now considered a craft. It's not necessary, according to the big companies out there, but it's a craft that it's a skill, and it's just one of those things that is no longer considered a vital skill to learn. Yes, it is. Like, seriously, yes, it is. you know, back in the day, we had weavers who made clothes. They were called artisans. Did you know that there is, out of all the muses in Greek and Roman theology, there is no artisan for pottery, painting, weaving, or any of that? You wanna know why? It's because they were considered tradesman crafts, tradesman skills. You were a tradesman if you could paint, if you could create pottery, sew, weave, all of that. So the muses had nothing to do with the arts. It was a vital and necessary tool. So when pottery and sewing became more and more commercialized, you know, it started changing now. Probably the biggest changes happened during the Industrial Revolution. Yes, you get a history lesson with all this. Woohoo! The biggest changes happened during the Industrial Revolution with the introduction of mechanized ways of creating work, weaving, and all that. There's a fabric. There's a Now I can't substantiate this because I was never big into the weaving community. My apology to all weavers. I'm sorry. I heartily respect what you do because I have worked on a loom. Now, granted, it was a lap loom, but I've worked on one of those things, and oh my god, while it's incredibly cathartic, it's so much work. It's so much work. But the thing is that, there is a really, really fine cloth. There are weavers who can get such a fine cloth that are so strong that it's comparable to, not today's denim because, oh my god, denim is not what it once was. But let's go with canvas. It was strong enough to hold up like canvas does. But it was so fine and it was breathable that it was just, oh my god, something else. But machinery can't get that fine because the threads would be too delicate to actively weave it. Silk is probably the closest that we can get, but it's incredibly hard to do. That's why anytime you see something that's silk, it's redonkulously expensive. Not just because of the process to get the silk cocoons, but also to just, just producing the silk is ridiculous. I feel so bad for any of our domestic animals, except for cats, because they technically aren't domesticated according to science. And if you want to argue that, go talk to the scientists. I'm not arguing with that. Anyways, but the biggest change when it was really noticed that art and everything, like painting and stuff, wasn't necessary to everyday life anymore, like telling of history and everything, was when photography became a big thing for the population. And so if you look at classical paintings, we're people paint dragons nowadays and they do all these crazy pieces. Fantasy art, high fantasy art, is probably the closest that you'll get to a Renaissance painting. Because if you look at a lot of Renaissance paintings, they've got crazy shit in there, like dragons, fairies, crazy birds, all sorts of crazy stuff. But those changes came about with the changes of technology. And so when it comes to the whole AI thing, art's just going to change. It was changing even before AI, and I think probably what's going to happen is that people are going to go take what they learned from doing digital paintings and apply that to traditional art. And so there's going to be a huge resurgence into the traditional medias. Because, you can't prove that a human painted a digital painting. And sure, you can go and create a video that shows humans, or shows a human hand painting a crazy drawing. But the thing is that there's not going to be a realistic AI create painting. Like, sure, there's robot paintings and whatever, but it's going to be a little while before they can create authentic paintings that look like they were done by human hands and weren't just reproductions. And unless you can really train an AI to get those feelings, like, people have different ways of painting depending on how they feel. And an AI will never be able to reproduce it until it becomes sentient. Yeah, I'm rooting for Data. I'm sorry. I liked Data. Data was cool. Lore, not so much. But Data was cool. So, I'm rooting for the Datas of the universe, and I would love to meet, like, that type of AI. Like a true AI. Not just like what we have now. I do love how right now, there's been a comparison with the AIs to the Fae, count the fingers and things like that. It's like, well, that's interesting. So, while it's not, this is not quite how I envision this going, but anyways, right now the AI is more like dealing with Fae than it is dealing with actual people, because you have to be very, very specific. So that is definitely one of those things. But like I said, I'm not overly concerned about it because it's going to take a little while before the AI. Sure, you can go and reproduce a master's thing. Some places have been able to do that. But you're going to miss out on a whole bunch of the subtleties that is humans. Because like I said, no one paints the same way. Like, fundamentally, humans should be... Like, fundamentally, a human painting is vastly different. However, the whole, like, pee-pee jokes will definitely be a thing. Like, there will always be humans doing pee-pee jokes. Doesn't matter. And, like... oh, there was this painting. It's super famous, and when I describe it, if you're familiar with the paintings of the medieval or Renaissance era, it's super well known. But it's the painting where this guy, he paints a skull, but you have to have like a mirror, or you have to look at it in just the right way that you can actually see this skull. And it's right in the center of the painting. But if you look at the painting straight on, it looks so weird. It literally looks like an AI would have done it, because it's such a weird thing. Like, but the whole thing about it is that, all through the painting, the artist is alluding to the whole, oh hey, this whole thing is doomed. It's a political painting. I think it's a painting of, if I remember correctly, it's a painting of two ambassadors, and what ended up happening is that negotiations fell through, and I think like one of the ambassadors died or something. It was ridiculous, and like before, I don't know if the painting was done before or after the ambassador's death, but like it sits there and alludes to all of this, how it was a doomed enterprise from the start. And it's like artists have been trolling people from the beginning. Artisans were the first people to troll others. I kid you not. They created the first memes. Like seriously, it's ridiculous. If you really want to get into like art, if you want to know history, I recommend art history, because artists, like, there's so much secret codes. There's so many secret codes and old master paintings that is just like, oh my god. Oh my god. It's like today's slang. Like, some of the stuff was just scandalous. Like, let's see, there was. This one was far more recent. I remember hearing about the painting during classes. Yes, I went to college for art. Woohoo. Anyways, so I went to so I heard about this painting. Another YouTuber covers this painting, but it's a very common theme in a lot of artworks. But there was this artist that painted this woman, and initially she had her straps off the shoulders. Well, back then, this was like 1920s, 1930s. Well, no. Maybe it was a little earlier than that. Anyways, so we have this. She's not scant. It's a beautiful dress. It's not scantily dressed at all. Like you would see it at like a very nice like black and white. I think a version of it can be seen in Pretty Woman with what's her name? Somebody and Richard Gere. I don't remember what her name is. Is it Hilary Swank? I don't know. I'm terrible with names. Anyways, which is really bad. I need to be better, but it's okay. It's all okay, I promise. So, oh, that's what I can do. Woohoo. Alright, we are going to this. Oh my god. No. Oh god. Ah! Damn it. Yes, okay, cool. Dude. If you heard that, that was my little fuzzy, oh god, what'd I do? Baby, you distracted me, little one. Please don't. Please don't continue to distract me. That was my little fuzzy baby. Her name is Patience. She is very loud, and she likes to have her opinion heard. Yes, little one, I see you. I see you. Anyways, so she likes to have her opinion heard, and she gets very unhappy sometimes. No, don't do that. I'm drawing right now, baby. Don't do that. Thank you. So, she's sitting here tapping on me, complaining that I'm not. That's not what I wanted. Complaining that I'm not giving her enough attention. Anyways, so going back to the painting, but all she did was all that was different about the painting was that this lady only had she had one of her sleeves off her shoulder. That was it. That was all that was wrong with the painting. But it was so scantily done that it was just like, oh, stop. You're gonna have to stop. But it was so scandalous that the artist had to go and repaint it, and it was a little bit. No, wait, did she not have any? No, it was off the shoulders. Yeah, it was off the shoulders. But the artist had to go and repaint it so then it wasn't like scandalous. Which is so ridiculous because guess what? Artists just paint scandalous stuff. Especially if we get paid a butt ton of money. Woohoo! Yes, we all have our morals and all of that, and certain things that we absolutely will not do. But at the same time, it's one of those things where living is really, really nice. And all of us really, really like... Ah, bugger. Stop it. Nope, wrong button. Why are you doing that to me? There we go. Okay, I found out why. My thing is being mean to me. It's okay though. There we go. Anyways, but yeah, no. Going back to my original point, which is I'm not overly concerned about where art's going to end up being because art is going to do what art has always done, which has usually been one of three things. Painting stupid stuff. There's always been stupid stuff that people have painted. Painting political messages, again, has always been done. Now, do we know what political messages were painted on, like, the, 50,000-year-old paintings on caves and rock walls? No clue. But, you know that there probably was some. Now, as for, now for the last one, just a record of history. Because everyone interprets something different. History has... If you look at any painting that's out there, every painting has been shaped by the time that people live in. And how we interpret things. Like, technically, I don't know when this emperor lived or existed. What if he didn't have the barn door aspect? That's just my interpretation of it from now. My aesthetics. I mean, like, who's to say that the next artist does something that's like completely historically accurate? Not that I know when the story was actually written, like I said. But it's just one of those things. And I'm also really, really silly because I went and painted in black. There's nothing wrong with painting in black. I just try to avoid it. If you want to find out why, you can ask me next week, because apparently I talk a lot and paint very little. Also, I am not quick at all. So, there's that. Anyways. Okie dokie. What should I go and say for my intro? Outro? So like I said, I'm learning all this. Each time I learn something new, and I embarrass myself maybe a little bit less each time. Who knows? I really, really do need to get better at drawing faster.
But you know, this is kind of how it works. Is that it's a slow run. It's a slow burn. But that's okay. Art, good art, does not happen fast. My art is not necessarily that great, but it is getting there. And it is so much better than where it started. And that's the important part. Art is a never ending quest of getting better. Like, even the best artists out there are just like, oh yeah, hey, I learned this thing. Isn't this a cool thing? Like, seriously? Oh my god. You ever go to an art convention? Everyone's just geeking out about all the things that they learned. Learning, or learned. Wait, I think I did that right. Did I do that right? I don't know if I did that right. Oh well. Anyways, okay, folks. Thank you all for joining me, and eventually you will have stuff up and running and like finished pieces, not just a oh my god, I ran out of time piece. So eventually I will finish these, and these will all be posted with the accompanying videos for, you know, the these videos that apparently are getting posted up onto YouTube as soon as I'm done, which, let me tell you, this is slightly frightening for me. Very frightened by it. But that's okay. Eventually I'll get there. But that is it for tonight, folks. Thank you for joining me, and please feel free to do whatever you want. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you subscribe to it. Those are buttons there, and it's a little annoying having people ask for that. Anyways, so I will see you all tomorrow night, and I look forward to chatting with y'all later. Have a good one. Enjoy your nights, folks.